This is All India Radio. In the program Spotlight, now we bring you a discussion on Prime Minister's Mann Ki Baat. The participants are Shekhar Iyer, political analyst, and AIR correspondent Renu Kataria.
So let's begin with the Kargil Vijay Divas and the Prime Minister Narendra Modi paying tributes to the Jawans martyred during the Kargil war. Prime Minister remembered Atalji, who reminded the nation of a mantra of Gandhiji: whatever we say or do has immense bearing on the morale of the soldier, ever vigilant at the border, as well as the morale of his family. Why is this mantra still relevant today?
Prime Minister did not take the name of the neighboring country with whom currently there is a standoff and talks are going on among the military commanders as well as at the diplomatic level. But the message that is coming across is, just as in Kargil we saw Pakistan, as the Prime Minister put it, stabbing India in the back after Atalji had made a very positive visit to Pakistan and extended a hand of friendship. Similarly, we are seeing the problems with the neighboring country despite India extending its hand of friendship. And we have seen at least several rounds of summit meetings between the head of the state of the neighboring country and India. Despite that, we saw what happened in Ladakh. So the Prime Minister, in a way, was reminding us, look, let us remember that just as in Kargil, we never compromised on anything. And particularly the honor of our soldiers who are laying down their lives to protect our borders. Similarly, India will never compromise when it comes to our territorial integrity. This message is important because the Prime Minister said, along with this, that today the battle is not fought just on the border. The battle is also fought on the social media. Now, unfortunately, some people are indulging in spreading messages as to the effect that India has not been able to counter effectively the incursions in the line of actual control, and there are other problems. I will not say despondency, but some kind of too much of self-flagellation. That is something Prime Minister wanted to remind people today. Let us remember that whatever we say or do has an immense bearing on the soldiers who are on the border, who are always vigilant, and it is our duty that we must ensure our conduct, our demeanor, our speech, our statement, our aims, whatever we do and say must distinctly be conducive to enhancing the moral or the morale of our soldiers who are stationed there. This is very important because the Prime Minister said the country is bound by a thread of unity. If we do not stand together and support our army Jawans and our other wings of the armed forces, then who else will do? So whatever we say, we should not even indulge in some kind of speculation and try to be too critical without having full information. This is very important today because we saw in Kargil also, because Atalji had undertaken a bus visit to Lahore. He had extended good wishes on behalf of India, and particularly Atalji even went to the very spot where there is a memorial for creation of Pakistan, where as Prime Minister of India, Atalji gave a call that India wishes you well. That kind of good message was good. But what we saw after that was, despite such an excellent visit undertaken by Vajpayee, we saw at the same time Pakistan army was making preparation for capturing Kargil. But our forces, our armed forces, fought it back, and today is that day, 21 years ago, we achieved complete flag victory in the battle for Kargil. That's why Prime Minister said, look, India can never forget that circumstance in which the battle of Kargil was fought. Some countries, as Prime Minister put it, have a tendency, to follow the wicked path, or, they are bound to follow despite their mental tendency seems to be, even as a nation, to do negative things. But India hit back. India fought back, and we got every inch of territory that Pakistan had tried to take at Kargil. Now that's a big message which stands even today. Whether we have a standoff in Ladakh or where we have a standoff anywhere else, we may be appearing to be, biding time, holding talks, trying to see how the matter can be resolved. But that does not anyway lessen our resolve, lessen our commitment. And our soldiers are fully competent, are very brave people, and that we have already seen in the recent clashes that took place, because it is our Indian soldiers who challenged the Chinese and asking them to abide by the agreements regarding the line of action control. So I think what the Prime Minister is saying is, if so much our soldiers are doing as a sacrifice, why can't we, in a positive spirit, not indulge in, false rumors and speculation and be critical of government and everyone without any purpose, because this message also sometimes helps our enemies. So I think this is a very important message, because let us remember, as Gandhiji said, whenever you are caught in the haunts of a dilemma, remember the poorest of the poor And Atalji added a second mantra, which is remember before you tweet, before you put it on your Facebook, before you make any comment, remember the soldiers standing in those extreme conditions guarding our frontier. It's a very important message that Prime Minister has given today, particularly on the occasion of Kargil Vijay Divas.
The Prime Minister also talked about positive changes, saying that if we look at the changes that our country has undergone with a positive point of view, we ourselves will be astounded. What changes is the Prime Minister implying at?
The Prime Minister is particularly talking, India is today a nation of young people. And the very fact that today we are a nation of young people means particularly the approaches towards innovation, adoption of scientific ways, adoption of technology on every field. So the way we are now opening up to all these ideas, no longer saying, no, we will only follow the old ways. There is not a single sector or a single industry which has not seen innovation, which has not seen induction of technology for the benefit of the people. And Prime Minister has particularly been emphasizing all through his first term and again through the second term that technology should be an important tool for development. Whether it is question of farmers and their soil health card, or whether it is our medical workers, whether it is our technical technicians, or whether it's our space, space technology. We have seen how ISRO has come out as an organization that is capable of launching more than 100 satellites in one go. So these are several things that is happening, and particularly where we are adopting to the digital economy. More and more people, particularly in the period of this pandemic, we have seen the cash transactions have actually come down. There are more of people using, the plastic card or the credit card or the debit card or Paytm or various other payment apps. Now, these are all shows that people are willing to embrace change. They are no longer, resisting change, because there is generally a human tendency to resist change, because every change is initially very inconvenient. But people of India are giving out that message that they are willing to adapt. And when we are saying people of India, not the people who are living in cities, but people who are living in small towns and even in far-flung villages, where people want to adopt technology because they understand the convenience it brings, they understand the changes it is capable of bringing in their lives.
The rural areas have shown the way during the corona crisis, is what Prime Minister Narendra Modi said today, that people coming from small towns and villages are creating new avenues of employment. Can you augment this?
The Prime Minister pointed out, for instance, he particularly drew attention to the fact that we have seen how in Bihar particularly, many women's self-help groups have, begun making masks with Madhubani motifs. Madhubani School of Painting is very famous all over the world, and we have seen how these masks have been painted with beautiful Madhubani art, and they were put out on the social media. And so many people have responded positively to these Madhubani masks, which are not only propagating a regional tradition, but they are also creating opportunities for livelihood. Similarly, we have seen the bamboo, the bamboo artisans of Tripura, Manipur and Assam. They have been making even high quality water bottles, even tiffin boxes, which are made of, bamboo wood. So you can see the craftsmanship of these bottles, and we cannot believe that they are made from bamboo. Similarly, the Prime Minister spoke about how in Jharkhand, there have been 30 groups have been cultivating lemongrass, and it takes about 4 months to, for these grass to mature. And they take this grass which they go to the market for oil, because lemongrass oil is greatly in demand. Particularly, it is considered one of the effective ways of boosting personal immunity. So similarly, he mentioned the example of Leh and Ladakh, where in Ladakh particularly, they are growing a particular type of apricot, which is known as Kubani locally. And initially they were also growing this, but then, a lot of it used to go waste. But what we are seeing is there is a new system that has come, which is called the solar apricot dryer and space heater. So all these collected apricots which you used to get damaged in rain now are being dried and they are being stocked. And the quality of fruit which used to get spoiled because of dust and rainwater, that condition has changed now. So therefore, the quality of apricot grown there has improved. Similarly, Prime Minister referred to Kutch. In Kutch, they have taken to growing dragon fruit. So the Prime Minister mentioned that people will be surprised if one were to say that you can get dragon fruit grown in Kutch. So the Prime Minister said, farmers are taking to innovation, whether it is Kutch or whether it is Ladakh, whether it is Manipur, Tripura, all these places we are seeing the farmers are constantly seeing how they can do something new. Similarly, the Prime Minister referred to people even cultivating pearls in say places like Bihar. And similarly, he mentioned about other things which people are doing. So today, migrant laborers, who had to go back to their villages, particularly in Bihar, in places like Muzaffarpur, Begusarai and Patta, they are taken to lot of ways of adopting new technology and new ways of, earning some money to overcome the present situation. This is all Atmanirbharta in its fullest spirit and form, as the Prime Minister noted.
Prime Minister said this year's Independence Day will be celebrated amid the pandemic and urged the youth to resolve to make India Atmanirbhar. We have noticed the Prime Minister stressing on Atmanirbhar Bharat to resolve for a self-reliant India, a resolve to learn and teach something new. Can you elaborate this?
The Prime Minister, first of all, mentioned about how the battle against corona pandemic has been going on, and he particularly again cautioned all of us to remember that this battle is not over and we need to be more and more careful, because the Prime Minister said, there is still some tendency of people not to wear masks or to get tired of masks. So at that time, people should think of the doctors and health workers, nurses, who are constantly wearing this mask for more than 8 to 10 hours. So the Prime Minister was saying, look, we are talking of stories of people who are trying to do something on their own. But at the same time, the way the country is fighting against corona unitedly has highlighted some things. Yes, our fears that corona will finish us has gone wrong. But at the same time, our mortality rate has gone down. But there are a number of cases continue to be reported, which only shows, as Prime Minister said, that in some places the disease is spreading fast. So therefore, we need to be extra vigilant. We have to bear in mind that corona is as fatal today as it was in the beginning, and we have to be cautious. And the Prime Minister particularly mentioned, how people, about the Atmanirbharta, he particularly drew attention of a Gram Panchayat in Jammu, which is where, there is a lady Sarpanch, Balbir Kaurji, who has, created a 30-bed quarantine center in the village. We heard similar stories sometime in Nagaland also. Now, this is a story which is coming from Jammu, where, this lady has done this. And she has also made arrangements, for people to get water, and then she has also provided other facilities so that they can wash their hands. And not only that, she continuously has a spray pump. She carries a spray pump all along, so that wherever required, she, undertakes sanitization of the entire Gram Panchayat. Now, similarly, there is a story of Zaituna Begum. She is from Gandarbal in Jammu and Kashmir. And there, this lady has also been, inspiring her panchayats to fight corona. And she has created some income opportunities, because first she distributed free masks and free ration. Then she started distributing crop seeds and apple saplings, so that people were not inconvenienced for want of all these things, and they can straight away get into doing the work. And even from Kashmir, there is another very inspiring story of Mohammad Iqbal, who is the municipal president of Anantnag. And he wanted a sprayer, and that sprayer would cost 6 lakh rupees. But, he decided that through his own efforts, and he designed and made a sprayer machine, and that too at the cost of 50,000 rupees. Now, these are the stories of actual Atmanirbharta. See, they realize there is an immediate need for a particular thing, and they do not wait for an external help. When they realize the huge cost, then they start thinking, why not let's do something ourselves? So I think what the Prime Minister is drawing attention of all of us is to the fact that there are numerous such small stories of people who are in far-flung areas, but people who are able to rise up to the occasion and meet the challenge with a kind of fortitude that has to be seen as great example for all of us. So I think that's a big message that the Prime Minister was conveying, because what we need to remember, as Prime Minister put it today, is we need to have a positive approach, because we are passing through a distressing times, but these distressing times and adversities are also opening up opportunities which will trigger development and progress.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
You were listening to a discussion on Prime Minister's Mann Ki Baat. The participants were Shekhar Iyer, political analyst, and AIR correspondent Renu Kataria. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of All India Radio. You can listen to it on our mobile app News on AIR. This program is also available on our website newsonair.com. You may email your opinion about this program at airnsdtalks@gmail.com.